AITA for not wanting a relationship with my brother and sister-in-law after they admitted they were jealous of my 5 and 6-year-old nephews. Story 1. That advice needed. Died. I am an aunt to 2 nephews 5 and 6 years old on my side, and to a niece and nephew, 1 and 3, on my husband's side, the children of the brother and sister-in-law. In December of 2023, I was blocked and deleted off all social media by my sister-in-law. I reached out to ask why with no response back. Ever since that day, my husband, 2-year-old daughter, and I have been shunned by this side of the family. Fast forward to the last couple of weeks, and they have reached out to us asking for an apology. When I asked for the reasoning of us being shunned, as I cannot apologize for something I am unaware I did, they proceeded to tell me they needed to step back and delete me and not talk to me or my family any longer because I was spending too much time with my other nephews, and because I had a sleepover with them in the summertime that it was not fair to their kids. I explained to them that in the last year my nephew's parents had gotten a divorce, their grandfather died, their grandmother was removed from home due to severe dementia, their best friends and neighbors moved over an hour drive away. They had another house they had to adjust to because of the divorce and were now having behavioral and mental health issues due to poor adjustment. The sleepover took place in the summer, so the kids could be somewhere happy while their dad moved out of the home. They responded by telling me that my nephew's problems had nothing to do with them, and that just because their kids aren't always in a dire situation doesn't mean I should have been spending a bit more time with my other nephews over their kids. I explained to them that though I wish I could divide every hour of my day equally amongst the people I love, unfortunately some people in our lives go through time periods where they need a bit more love and time from us than others. Also, looking back on social media and my calendar, it showed that I had seen both sets of kids the exact same amount of visits the entire year prior to me being shunned. I also explained to them that my nephews on my side have only ever slept over for 2 nights with us since they were born. My brother-in-law's son has also slept over 2 nights a full year before my other nephews ever had a sleepover with us. I also stated age played a role as well since their children are only 3 and 1. They kept demanding we apologize even though we did, many times, for making them feel insecure, and pointed out that it was never our intention. The apology was deemed not good enough and they have stopped responding other than to make mention of how comfortable they are in their choice to step away from us. It is concerning to me that they would throw away our entire relationships and their contact with their niece over this, and because of this I do not ever want to reconcile. I no longer consider them family. AITA for no longer considering them family and closing all future opportunities to reconcile. Our advice. Based on the situation you've described, it's understandable that you feel hurt and confused by your brother and sister-in-law's actions and their unreasonable demands for an apology. It sounds like their jealousy and insecurity have caused unnecessary drama and strain on your relationship. You are not the asshole NTA for feeling this way and for not wanting to reconcile with them. It's important to prioritize relationships that are healthy and supportive for you and your family. If they are willing to throw away your relationship over perceived slights and refuse to accept your explanations and apologies, then it's reasonable for you to feel that they are not worth reconciling with. Family relationships should be built on mutual respect, understanding, and forgiveness. It's clear that your brother and sister-in-law's behavior has been hurtful and unfair, and it's okay to distance yourself from toxic dynamics like this. Focus on nurturing the relationships that bring positivity and joy into your life, and don't feel guilty for setting boundaries with those who are unwilling to reciprocate mutual respect and understanding. Take care of yourself and your immediate family, and surround yourself with people who appreciate and value you. First comment. It sounds like your husband's brother and his wife have continuously chipped away at his self-worth and ability to respect himself. These people sound toxic and need to be cut out, not apologized to. What example does it set for your daughter otherwise? Second comment. NTA obviously. They are raising future monsters if they think everything revolves around the lives of their children. I am having a hard time telling if they are incredibly transactional, selfish, narcissistic, or just enormous assholes. Or some combination of all of the above. Do not waste your valuable time or emotional energy on people like this. This is your husband's brother. That makes this your husband's responsibility to manage. You mentioned you were blocked, but not if your husband was blocked. He needs to be stepping up big time and prioritizing his wife, you, and child. You wrote as if you had to do all the explaining to these in-laws. Maybe that's an artifact of the first-person narrative, but this is your husband's bag to carry. It sounds like your in-laws take a weird, almost sadistic pleasure in making you and your husband grovel for something that you didn't need to begin with. This is a tactic controlling people often like to inflict on others. Encourage your husband to see a therapist. He has some complicated emotions and feelings he needs to sort out. Otherwise, this potentially will escalate into unhealthy dependency issues related to his brother that will negatively impact your family. NTA. Story 2. AITA for how I checked my pregnant neighbor for how she was acting with my husband. My family, me, husband, 2 daughters live directly across from our neighbor. AITA is, from what I remember, 6 months pregnant. Our neighborhood grew close when her husband died 2 months ago due to a drunk driver. The entire neighborhood basically came to help, and even now the community still does semi-monthly-ish BBQs and stuff. We know how it felt to have a parent absent now. No, my husband did not die, but he was still deployed when we were pregnant with our first. I know that this is not the same thing she is going through, so we often checked on her, invited her over, conversations on how to handle being on your own while pregnant. For a couple of weeks now, she's been asking my husband to be her handyman. My husband has no issue with this, and neither did I until a week or so ago. She asks my husband for help over the simplest things and barely talks to me anymore. Most times she'll knock, ask if my husband is home, and if I say no, she tells me to let him know she needs him and walks off. No talking, having chai together, nothing. I can admit I am a little bit jealous and felt weird about this. It was like she was only wanting my husband around. I tried to push these feelings aside until the first incident. Basically, she knocked on my door and handed a covered plate of cookies. I got excited and started to thank her, how the girls love cookies, but she interrupted me and told me that these were strictly for my husband, not for us. I had a sour taste in my mouth and thanked her. It made me feel like she was trying to have a big house and little house situation. I let my husband know what happened and how I felt. He assured me nothing was going on, no doubt, but he also agreed that what she did was disrespectful. We agreed he would stop going over. He would give her the numbers of men he knows who do maintenance. She has been cold with us. The second incident happened when the community was having a BBQ in our neighborhood park. The children were running around and US adults were sitting with the lawn chairs talking about whatever. Aid piped up and said how she is grateful to us all for helping her. Even me, after it was strange how you basically forbid your husband to come over to help anymore. I got a little mad, like I was slapped by God himself, and just said, well, baking a gift for my husband only, and saying his wife and daughters aren't included is strange too. Another neighbor changed the topic. It was awkward. I'm sure there's gossip and whatnot. On one hand, I know she must still be grieving, and maybe she's just looking to have someone to be there for her. On the other hand, I feel like the incident with the cookies and then the BBQ makes me feel disrespected. My husband is not happy with how I responded. He says it is not my job to check someone and I should have just let her talk. I guess I just want to know if I was a jealous asshole through all of this. I don't really have anyone I could talk to about this personally. Our advice. It sounds like you were feeling excluded and disrespected in your interactions with your neighbor, which is completely valid. It's natural to feel hurt when someone seems to prioritize your spouse over you and your family. Your feelings of jealousy are understandable, but it's important to address them constructively, which you tried to do by discussing the situation with your husband. First comment, NTA. I get that she is grieving, and probably not in her right mind, but the cookies thing was weird. If she'd said, I made them for husband, as a thanks for all the work he's done for me, that's fair. But to say they are strict just for him, that's weird. And you were basically politely letting it go until she called you out in public, so I think it is fair to answer her in public. Plus, honestly, how much DIY or maintenance help does one house need? It's been 2 months since her husband died and your husband has had to go over multiple times? As a single woman who is useless at DIY and has to get someone in to fix almost anything, I don't having people calling monthly, never mind weekly. Your response at the BBQ may have been confrontational, but it was also a natural reaction to feeling slighted. It's important to communicate your feelings, but finding a more diplomatic way to address the issue might have been more effective in resolving the situation. Ultimately, it's essential to prioritize open and honest communication with both your neighbor and your husband to navigate this situation. It's also crucial to consider the difficult circumstances your neighbor may be going through and approach the situation with empathy. You're not the asshole for feeling hurt, but finding a resolution through respectful dialogue would be the best approach moving forward.